Good morning. It's Monday. Believe the 27th. It's a nice cool morning. I am struggling with Luke and Ian. This conversation dropped, and I just shut it off with the double-minded man, and he will be unsure in all that he does. Because I'm battling whether or not to chill after my 3 of 4 in the hospital and opening myself to the spirit after my interactions this morning. And I felt it was calling me to the wild here. So we're in the yard. I just took a lap around. I figured we'll do that here, seeing how I'm all caught up on videos, and we're going to do the new DaVinci program, which I have not yet downloaded, but yeah, so let's take a walk around and see how things have transformed. Alright, so this is my front door, because I thought it'd be a good place to start. Front door. And I don't know if I've mentioned this, but these are our gardenias. We are a couple months away from the moment I step out my door just getting hit with the sweetest smelling scent there is. So this is all overgrown, and I haven't put any mulch in there. So this is one of the first places I usually dump. New mulch is in here. And we will come around to the hose and the last video. So you can see how these roses look great, and you got them up there at the top there too. And then I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I don't think I've mentioned it. This is wisteria. I believe there was a pretty popular song about this stuff. It doesn't smell good. It smells kind of gross. You got some honeysuckle mixed in there. So you can see the aftermath of the poison ivy party. And you can see I didn't get it all. I didn't get it all. There's some back there. But we've hit kind of a big deal about it. This was one thing that I got to correct. I've had a loved one trip and fall on that. I have to fill it constantly, because there used to be a big tree in my neighbor's yard, and I think the root is rotting away. And there's another one kind of in there. I have to fill those. We have to tackle are the azaleas. So they're approaching 7 feet tall. I gotta tackle those. You can see these are what many people in the South call snowballs. They are hydrangeas. Interesting fact that the color of your hydrangeas is directly related to the acidity levels of the soil in which they're planted. They go from white to blue. This is another thing here. So we got the blueberries coming in. They are nice. We are a couple months away from those things popping off. And we got more poison ivy, folks. So typically another place I stick mulch is in here and in here to help catch the water as it runs down the hill. That doesn't get caught by the system in the back. By the way, that was actually the reason I put this pathway in, because this also, as a pathway for people to walk, it also is drainage for water, so it doesn't lean up against the house. When we first moved in, we had water infiltrating into the back of the garage. And so this acts as a canal for water. So when we get rains, usually the last place to dry out is just past the end of the driveway, where the water has been slowly kind of retreating down this pathway. So don't need to do much with that, but we got, just here in the front, we got mulch in the gardenias, plus weeding, plus getting trees out. We got filling hole with gravel. We got more poison ivy here, mulch here. And then I haven't done it in a while, but what I'll do is a weed barrier with all the cardboard we get in the house to tamp down the weeds, and then I cover that with usually pine straw. We got the transformation taking place back here. So the wood mulch is in. We have one. I still have to get the tomatoes in the ground. So that has to be done here. I still have to finish the back half of our science experiment. I now have stuff that needs to be processed. You see where I moved my log pile. So that will grow as some of this stuff will be added to that pile and be ready for the fall campfires. My wife's herb garden. We've driven not a one single stake, which was the promise of this channel, but we do got some new developments here. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but that is an asparagus. See it wisping away? That's what it grows into. And then these kind of looks like dill. These fan out and they make these beautiful fluffy bushes. So you see one here, there's one down here, there's one over there. So this was, here's one already laid over. And I actually found one in that mess of wild craziness. So we got the dead brambles, the trees. And check this out. There it is. So the part we eat is the initial part that sticks out of the soil. And it looks, well, you know how it looks. But eventually they grow up and they turn into these very fuzzy looking bushes. And when you have a whole group of them, they make a nice, which is why I have blackberries in here, because the birds can actually go in there and land in the clumps of asparagus and then make their little poopy doo. And then I get, excuse me, I get wild blackberries in there. And the rule I follow with grass cutting is I pay attention very closely to the weather during this time of year, and I will not cut the grass unless there's going to be rain within the next 24 to 48 hours, so that the grass can get naturally watered. Which, as I mentioned before, we're in a drought, which is one reason why I didn't cut the grass very much last year. So I remembered the name of this thing. This is called a ligustrum, which my mother-in-law is allergic to. So I got to cut that guy down. I'm going to have to do something with this mess, because believe it or not, there's a dogwood back there. You can see kind of barely up there. There's a, I guess a, what would you call it? A southern legend that Christ was crucified on a crooked tree, and it was the dogwood. And this is why to this day the dogwood is a very brittle tree. It falls over and breaks very easily because it held up Christ. That's like a little southern urban legend. I have this mess. You can see what the poison ivy turns into. I have it everywhere in the yard. Because remember, I worked for the last 3 out of 4 days, so I didn't do anything. So you can see much better now the rock work that I've put in to help with the erosion. And so back here, I will fill it with a ton of mulch, which I have. So I can go in there and maybe pull out. See, we got some remnants of the poison ivy, and I should try to pull as much of that out as I can before I fill it. So that's a walk around the yard as we are back. And for all my ADD people, I'm not going to do anything with that bucket. So the question is, what do I do? What do I do? I'm going to have to find back and forth. So this is where I open myself up. And I just kind of let the spirit kind of guide me. I think the first thing that comes to mind is probably cleaning up and getting to a good center. This will please my wife, that the place doesn't look like a bunch of, projects with a bunch of irons in the fire. It'll get me to a good centered place. So I think the first place that we'll start, that I think I'm getting led to, is a little bit of cleanup. Alright, so usually I try to start in the front. So although you should never judge a book by its cover, most people judge a book by their cover, so I do try to present things as well. So I think we'll start out front here, and we will try to tackle the wood in the yard, the downspouts, and get those cleaned up. You can't be focally aware of everything all the time. That's where I'm at. That's where I pause it on Luke and Ian's conversation. So we have the wood and the gutter material, at least out of the walkway. It's still here. And what has developed here is a pile to start going to scrap. I have tons of scrap. Well, no, I don't. That's part of the reason why I have scrap, because I don't have tons. If I had tons, it'd be turned into cash money. But that's the front table is turning in a bit into my scrap pile. I do not own a trailer, so getting that stuff off, I gotta load it in the back of the SUV, and it's kind of a pain. So the old trellis archway thing that I had back here, one of the reasons why I threw it here is because I kind of subconsciously, out of habit over the years, how I've habitually made my patterns in my subconscious, Luke, is I throw stuff here so that as the water comes around the corner, it doesn't wash away things. So got that cleaned up. These are just raw cedar that I've had for years. Years. I'm not kidding, years. And this is a testimony to how well these things hold up. They've just been laying here on the ground. If that was anything else, those would have been gone in like 1 year almost. But I got to do something with those. But I ended up getting all the wood and all the little piles. There was a piece over there under the water. I've got another little section back over here where I am collecting the questionable wood. So I had some. So as I think I showed you guys before, the deck, Throughout the years, I piecemeal and fix boards, and so I have like extra. Some of that came from some of the jobs we were doing when we were flipping houses. Others was stuff I bought. So we can get this out of here. I'll lose this. He-Man Woman Hater Club. Try to get things more organized. Kind of in some proper places. So I believe I mentioned these were the loppers that I have from my father-in-law. I've had them for years. One of these handles tend to come undone right when you need it to, but I can't get it undone. I ended up buying these. I intentionally bought, so you have two different types of loppers. You have the scissor style, or bypass, because one blade bypasses by the other. And then you have these, where it is flat on one side and a cutting blade that cuts them. There's supposed to be certain applications for both with plants. I do not know them. So this was something interesting that happened. So I got the sense that I should lean that up there. I was kind of ripping it apart so I could stick it in there nice and neat, and that one was having a hard time. I got a sense I should just carry it over here. And as I was walking, I got a sense that I should put it here. I could see some beans kind of climbing up in the back in front of the tomatoes, because the tomatoes will get pretty big. They'll get above the bottom of the deck. I still have to look to see what type they are. Let's see if we can do that now. So you have two different types of tomato plants. One is called determinate, and the other is called indeterminate. And based on what type you have determines how you prune them. So, usually there's this tag. Is there any writing on the back? Yes. Super sweet red cherry tomatoes, long chain, paired full sun. Height 48 inches, spacing 24, upright, habit. So it doesn't say. So the two types of tomatoes, one you end up making into a very straight vine, so you have a leader. And what you do is, we can look at this one. If they're indeterminate, I-N, determinate, see this little leaf here? If I get my finger out of the way. That little leaf there coming out of the crook. What you'd want to do is pinch that off so that the lead continues to grow. Because if you notice where the flower is, it's coming off this main lead. And so what you want to do is prevent the plant from putting more energy into these guys and making more of the lead guys, so you get more flowers and then therefore more fruit. If they are determinate, it's a determined height that they're going to get, and you want to let those things grow because you'll get more flowers eventually off the little leads that come off, because it'll be more of a bush rather than a vine. So I do not see where these are. Yeah, I don't know. So I can maybe look up Costco tomatoes. Are they determinate or indeterminate? So the reason why I say that is because it'll be helpful to know, because if they're more vine type, what I'll do is I'll put one there, and then one on the other side, and allow the vines to grow up. But if they're the more bushy type, I can literally put one there, and then one in the middle, and this whole area will be tomatoes right close to the walkway, so we can get them for salads. So, what I'm thinking is, and I'm using what Claire may say is me being afraid of my wife. No. What I see as me and my wife over the years becoming and transforming into one, she hates that. I'm sure my neighbors do too, to be fair. So I think that's the next thing. I think I'm going to try to knock this down. I have plenty of space to put it here, but what I'm probably going to do is start with in between the hills up here. So I'm going to pop Luke and Ian back in, and I'm going to do some wheelbarrowing, and we'll see what she looks like. Grand defined narratives that start off good, but eventually become, I believe he said, like smothering or malevolent in their feminine nature. So it's kind of hard to see, I'm noticing on the video here, but we got mulch to there. I'm going to go all the way to the back there, and then do this one. But I was noticing with the wood chip pile here, so it's been sitting here like 3 days, 4 days maybe. I can't remember, I'd have to go back to the log, but not longer than a week. So you can see how light gray that is. And I'm going to see if I can do this without setting up the camera. But this stuff is smoking. There's heat coming off of this pile because in that 3 days, composition or decomp has already started to take place. Let's see if you can see that. I don't think you can, but it's smoking. And that happens a lot of times from the nitrogen. It causes the compost to get very, very hot. So this is where I was talking about browns and greens. So if you have too many greens in your compost, that's like the fuel for the bacteria, and it'll grow real hot, but it'll turn your compost into more of an ash than like a soil that has held on to those nutrients. So, I mean, just digging this wheelbarrow full, the whole area was kind of filled with this ashy smoke. It's got a very earthy, tonal scent to it that's very nice, and it's actually something that I found that I missed because I haven't done this in a little while. So I thought that was going to be interesting and give you a quick update, tell you where I'm at in the Luke and Ian stream. I probably should be saying Ian and Luke stream, shouldn't I? It's Ian's channel. Yeah. I want to be in relations with the elders of the faith. He gets ready to say something, but I felt like that was a good one for Ian. So, we got it finished here. But there's one thing that it's missing. This decomp. It's the living water, baby. So I'm going to moisten this down. Take the rotting, dead corpse of a tree, or trees, and we're going to water. We're going to add the water. I thought that I wasn't doing it for the whole living water thing. I was actually doing it because it's one of my favorite things to see, is once this is all moist. Forgive me for anybody who can't handle that word, like my wife. Sorry, baby. But this is now the deadness being transformed and brought to new life with abundant fruit and a sweetness that can only be described as blueberry. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Thanks, guys. Love ya.